So, in yesterday's video, we went over the 1990 investigation. You're going to see on a lot of these documents, the name Thomas Hogan is mentioned. Thomas Hogan was the commissioner in New York with the education department that was in charge of non-public schools. Yeah, his name is on a lot of these documents. He also retired shortly after the 2010 investigation. This is Thomas Hogan. He is a very important part of the family school cover-up. So I went to scope his LinkedIn. I do find it interesting that out of the schools and organizations that he put on his LinkedIn as helping, it doesn't include the family. Ain't that strange? I wouldn't want to be known for it either. I find it weird that he names all these organizations, but not the Family Foundation School. That's a little coincidental, huh? Considering his name is all over these documents. And when I get to the 2010 investigation, yeah, he retired shortly after that. Ain't that a bitch? For 25 years, you allowed that school knowing, right? Because you're supposed to review their policies and procedures, and you helped cover up child abuse. We're going to pick up shortly after where we left off yesterday, because the DAAA, after their investigation, issues the Family Foundation School a cease and desist on 8/6/90. The State of New York Division of Alcoholism and Alcohol Abuse issued the Family Foundation School a cease and desist. In this cease and desist, it gives them reasons why they need to cease and desist, acting as if they are a rehabilitation center. It was determined that the program operated by the family failed to meet the division's certification standards in the areas of, and then there's a list here. In accordance with my statutory duties, I find that the family is operating an alcohol treatment facility without an operating certificate in violation of the mental hygiene law. I hereby order, pursuant to mental hygiene law section 19.7, that the family immediately upon receipt of this order to cease and desist from operating its alcohol treatment program, from holding itself out in a fashion as a provider of alcoholism services, and from accepting residents into the facility with the understanding that those services ought to be provided. I'm willing to bet that they didn't discharge anybody, and I'm also willing to bet that they did not pause intakes. It is further ordered that all residents of the family's alcoholism treatment facility who were admitted because of a perceived alcohol or alcohol abuse problem be evaluated by a division-certified alcoholism services provider or by a division-operated alcoholism services provider and be referred thereafter to appropriate care. It is further ordered that all alcohol-related patient identifying records be turned over to the division for confidential disposition. That's weird. In the event that the family fails to comply with the terms of this order, the Division of Alcoholism and Alcohol Abuse will refer to this matter to the Attorney General of the State of New York to enforce this order. The smart thing to do would have been to change the program, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to continue taking those clients, lie about it, and try to fight the cease and desist for 2 years because we got Thomas Hogan on our side, right? This is an attorney asking for compliance from the family regarding that cease and desist. On December 12th, 1990, the compliance officer that did the investigation to the family from the DAAA wrote a letter to Mr. Hogan. He explains that they did that investigation because the family had an application pending to operate a residential chemical dependency program. The results of the inspection indicated that there were such continuing serious deficiencies in the operation of the facility that it could not be brought into compliance with the requirements of division operating regulations. Any inspection report requesting that the facility cause a halt to all alcoholism-related activities was sent to the operator on June 19, 1990. One special area of concern indicated in the report were the physical facilities, the dormitory areas, which were totally inadequate. On August 6, 1990, the division sent the operators a formal cease and desist order. A follow-up inspection was conducted on 8/15/1990 to monitor the implementation of the order. As a result of this inspection, further steps had to be taken in order to ensure the implementation of the order. They never complied. They never complied. It has also come to our attention that there have been allegations of child abuse, both physical and verbal, occurring at the facility. These allegations are presently being investigated by Delaware County and New York State troopers in 1990. It would be 6 years before I even walked through the door. Another monitoring inspection was conducted by the division on November 16, 1990. On this date, there were 10 students at the family school. There were 5 faculty members and 2 members who do not reside at the facility. Father Anthony Moore, who was the principal at the time, was not present. He had been substituting for a pastor in an area church on the recent weeks. Crazy. Father Anthony also has sexual assault allegations against him. So we'll just leave it at that. Here we have Tom trying desperately to get in touch with people, asking why the DAA is going this far. What, aren't you, can't you find your own statutes? Didn't they cite them? Since this is a chartered, registered school, I cannot understand why this agency persists. Maybe because treating alcohol or addiction in general without the knowledge or certification of how to can fucking kill people? What is wrong with you? Mr. Hogan does just that. And he writes a letter to the analyst about the letter that he just got. I'm attaching a copy of a cease and desist order issued by the DAAA, which orders the family and its officers, employees, and representatives from representing itself in any manner as a provider of alcoholism services and from accepting residents to the family located in Hancock, with the understanding that such alcohol treatment services ought to be provided. Tom, they never listen to you. Do you understand that? Do you understand that by you allowing them to do whatever the fuck they wanted, it caused harm? Did you know that? You have to know that by now. As you may know, the family is incorporated under the Not-for-Profit Corporation Law. During this past year, the Family Foundation School, which is at the same address, was incorporated under the Education Law. This is more commonly referred to as obtaining a charter from the Board of Regents. In addition, grades 9 through 12 were registered by the State Education Department. As I explained to you during our recent telephone conversation, both the chartering procedure and the registration procedure are voluntary on the part of the non-public school. A non-public school does not need either document to legally operate. Now, this is what I talk about. I a lot of times talk about the gray area regarding their the way they operated. In New York State, private schools literally could pretty much do whatever they want. However, in this case, it is related to treatment and services of treating people with substance use disorder without the qualifications to do so. The school's philosophy, as described in our file copy of the school brochure, is as follows. The family is the center for the study of application of the AA principles, including, I love that y'all named them. I just want to see one instance where any of y'all live by these principles. Just one. Honesty, unselfishness, love, honor, responsibility, charity, and faith in God. I don't see any of that coming from y'all. Particularly as these beliefs may be embodied as in the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, Alateen, and Christian tradition. The family is not a facility for rehabilitation in the currently accepted understanding of the terms. Excuse me? Excuse me? We do no treatment and no therapy. Our parents didn't know that. Our parents sent us there for the treatment and the therapy. We offer no services. We do no custody. We have no staff, no medical, psychiatric, psychological, sociological, penal, or custodial professionals or paraprofessionals. The medical needs of the family are attended to by our family physicians. This is crazy because this is the exact opposite of what you sold to our parents. We make few specific requirements of people coming to the family as residents. If someone is in trouble and needs help, he or she is welcome. We do require that anyone under 18 not smoke while living with us. The family school is an outgrowth of the family and has been created to assist the educational, vocational, and spiritual growth of the family members. Every new member of the family must be enrolled in either the academic or vocational curriculum offered by the family school. Well, no shit. The family school offers students a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week education based on a full-year program of courses. So that is true. When I got to the family, I had enough credits to be a sophomore. I went through, in the 18 months that I was there, I went through all of my junior and all of my senior year. Because the trimesters and the 11 periods a day, it gives you some type of acceleration. It is obvious from reviewing your letter and the attachments that the DAAA is not going to approve the family to operate a residential chemical dependency program for youth. It is not clear to us what the DAAA authority is, if any, over a chartered, registered, non-public school. I would appreciate receiving copies of sections, those are the codes, and any other information you can provide that might make this clearer. So I wanted to see what those codes were about. So I just threw in a AI version of it, and it seems like they most certainly had all of the authority because they were operating illegally, 100%. So I'm super confused because this isn't my line of work, and I could tell that the DAAA was very well within their rights to issue that cease and desist and require compliance. While DAAA has specific requirements concerning licenses, certification, registration, etc. of staff members, the state education law requires that teachers in non-public schools be qualified. Well, that's weird because in the family, we were being taught by regular people with how were they qualified? During our recent phone conversation, I asked if DAAA was giving the Family Foundation School any funding. I was told that they were not. I responded that only non-public schools I was familiar with that are required to employ persons who are certified, registered, licensed, etc., are those voluntarily accepting some sort of funding. Examples: schools receiving DSAS funding, schools receiving funding to serve handicapped students. But that's the point that the DAAA was making, is that because a lot of us struggled with drug and alcohol issues, a lot of people had psychological issues. That's the point that they're making. It's part of the mental health law. But y'all weren't telling our parents that the staff wasn't certified, registered, or licensed. And you think that this is okay and normal? What if it was done to your kid? It also goes on to talk about the code enforcement of the buildings. And this letter is from 1990. So tell me again that this was just all an internet smear campaign, because in 1990, you're talking about child abuse. 3, the allegations of child abuse were first brought up during our recent telephone discussion. I explained the difference between corporal punishment, child abuse, and assault. I noted that corporal punishment is permissible in a non-public school, that the state education department did not have authority over cases of child abuse or assault, and that that was a matter for the police and or the county district attorney. You responded that there had been an investigation by the state police. I asked if the state police had issued a report. You indicated that the trooper conducted the investigation had been reassigned to help quell the disturbance at the reservation in the North Country. I responded that if I cannot complete my priority assignments for some reason, that it is the responsibility of my supervisor to see that assignment is completed. I find it so strange that there is allegations of abuse in all forms in all of these documents. And nobody did anything. Nobody did anything. The state education department said corporal punishment was okay. Corporal punishment is what happened to us? Is that what you're excusing it as? Being wrapped up in a blanket with duct tape is child abuse. Being stuck in that blanket for days at a time and not even getting up to stretch your legs is abuse. And y'all want to play these word semantics. It's child abuse. It's child abuse. You should have been stripped of your pension and everything for the cover up that you allowed. It was your job to make sure that that program followed their policies and procedures and that they were ethical. Tell me you didn't know. How close are you with Michael Argyros? It's a good question, huh? It's sad that instead of doing the right thing and doing what you told our parents y'all were gonna do, you tried to cut corners. I wonder if you regret that. I wonder if you regret any of it, because your tone doesn't seem like you do. And that's gotta suck. I can't imagine living y'all's lives. But I wonder, Thomas Hogan, if you regret covering for them now, was it worth your entire career? Or did they make your career? Good question. Might seem like the end of the situation. Nope. I wonder if the DAA knows that they never abided by that cease and desist, and that they continued to accept clients that needed treatment for some type of addiction issue. January 2nd, 1991. Again, the compliance analyst responds to Thomas Hogan and tells him, our concern is that the family has been operating in violation of the New York State law and regulations, that a cease and desist order has been issued, and that the facility might be continuing to operate in violation of the law and the order, while the state education department has granted its status as a chartered, registered, non-public school. That's exactly what they did. But at least this guy, he knew what time it was. And it continued. January 9th, 1992, a year and a half after that cease and desist was issued. Wild. We have concluded our review of your response and wish to clarify our concerns with respect to certain of the family's procedures and practices. In those situations where no evaluation has been conducted, the evaluation by the staff physician psychologist must be performed prior to admissions. All evaluations, whether done by a referring agency or the family physician psychologist, must be in the patient file. The family must refrain from directly or indirectly promoting alcohol-related services. In this respect, the family must not use terms which imply that the family provides any services with respect to detrimental drinking habits. The family must continue to comply in all respects of the cease and desist order and the November 1st, 1990 admission policy. Based on your averments and assuming compliance with the above, the division is satisfied that the family is at this time in substantial compliance with the cease and desist order. You were wrong. As indicated in my September 4th, 1991 letter, I will ask the Bureau of Standards and Certification to arrange a follow-up inspection. It's unclear if this ever got done, but they continued to operate how they wanted to operate anyway because they had the New York State Education Department in their pocket. Just another missed call. This is a non-public high school for teen alcoholics in Delaware County. It follows the Alateen model. But you're still treating people with alcoholism and alcohol abuse issues without the certification and the staff to do so. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that in AA or in 12-step programs like that, it is acceptable to do such things. However, when you are marketing yourself as a treatment facility and or therapeutic boarding school that has these types of staff to help these teenagers with these issues, it's deceptive. Now, this is a letter to Thomas Hogan from the time I was there. She was the principal, Robin Ducey. It's dated March 6, 1992, and they're bragging. It is interesting that you had all the other information sent to you without any initiative on your part, but this one was overlooked. Things are going well for us. We had a very difficult year, and looking back, I don't know how we managed to stay afloat, but somehow, with the help of good friends, hard work, and the grace of God, we managed to keep going. We have 35 students now, and our numbers are growing. The public schools seem much more interested in cooperating and working with us when they have difficult children to deal with. It truly is crazy, but thank you for your continued help and support. If you are down this way, please come and visit. When I first got to the family, Robin was my family leader. If you read Liz Ionelli's book, Robin is talked about quite a bit. She was in maybe a 95-pound woman, really thin and frail, but she was a cunt. She sure was. She could be brutal, and she was cold. So when I got there, it was her and Paul, the pedophile, that were the leaders of my family. Robin did not like me. I was not compliant. I kind of was defiant, and I spent a lot of time in the corner, mainly because Robin put me there. But it's interesting to me how they operated that way. It is not my profession, but I understand that in order to treat certain demographics of people, that there has to be some type of certification or license involved. It's dangerous. And for examples like this, because maybe back then it wasn't as known, the long-term effects of trauma. I don't know that there was that much science there yet, but we know now. And what y'all did was compound trauma. And I find it crazy that you were marketing yourself as this school for teens, but the first thing to go when we got in trouble was school. We didn't go to classes when we were in the corner. We didn't go to classes if we were on work sanctions, but wasn't that the important part? Right? That's what our parents thought anyway. So I find it a little strange that in reading these documents, there is no plausible deniability there. Y'all knew. Every single one of y'all knew. And these documents prove that even state agencies knew. Y'all just let it go. Fuck them. They're troubled teens anyway. Right? Had not a care in the world to the damage that y'all were causing. That's unfortunate. It really is. And I say it a lot where I do believe that people get into these types of careers, people that own treatment centers, for example. I do believe that those people get into that for good reasons. But somewhere along the way, they get a taste of that money and greed just takes over at the expense of children's lives. The whole state just covered for them. It wasn't just Hancock. It was the State Department. The only person that tried to fight for us was the DAAA. Interesting. Pretty interesting. I'll see y'all soon.